Okay, welcome. It is April 21st, 2026, 5:35 p.m., and this is the Albany County Land Bank Director Board of Directors meeting. We have our corporate counsel, from Whiteman, Austin, and Hannah. It's Michelle. We have Michelle Dorsey, one of our board members. We have Sam Wells, our vice chair. We also have Caroline, our newest member.
Yes, hi Caroline Mercantile, everyone.
Nice to meet you. We have Natisha Alexander, our treasurer, and then we have Anthony Kapish. Also joining us from the land bank is Jason Chacoin, our development specialist.
And you are?
Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm Lynette Terrence. I'm the director of operations. Thanks.
Looking at who we have here, we have a quorum, so we're good to go.
So we don't have any public comments.
Perfect, so item number 3, review and approval of prior meeting minutes. Do I have a motion? Asking for a motion.
Oh, motion first, sorry. I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
Letitia with second. Discussion?
For number 3, section B, small number 3, I guess I didn't request to be added, I requested to stay on the committee because I was already on the committee, so that's a clarifying point.
We'll make that correction.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor, say aye.
I'll abstain, given that I was not here.
One abstention, any nays? Motion passes. Item number 4 on the agenda. We have the executive director's report. Obviously, Sean's not here today, so we have our director of operations, Lynette, to give us the executive director's report.
Thank you. So Sean wanted me to highlight a mission moment this month. He was able to appear, or he was interviewed by Spectrum News 1 for a segment that appeared in all of the Spectrum markets in New York, outside of New York City. He said it was an opportunity to once again show off our work at 79 Elizabeth Street and talk about how the South End is advancing thanks to the efforts of our land bank along with our partners. So he included a link to where you can view the interview. We're going to skip ahead.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
79? So I know we've done the lottery for it. Have they gone through the process and are they like closed on it?
Yeah, we're actually under contract. We're pending right now. We just received the survey. We were addressing some items that came up during the inspection report. So right now, it should be another couple of weeks before we close.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. So I'm going to move along to real estate operations. So in March, there were no property acquisitions. There were 2 dispositions. Year to date, we've acquired 0 properties and disposed of 5. And I just mentioned what was going on with 79 Elizabeth Street. Let's see. We're going to shift over to our development session. So Jason Chacoin is going to take over from here and go over some of our development projects.
Yep, so the first is the South End Co-Development Project. We talked about this in length, and the status of the project and the home ownership portion. So I'm not going to go into detail on that. I guess the only update I'm going to provide here, work is active, and we're starting to work on the foundations for the sites. If you go down there, there's a lot of construction going on. And then also we are presenting to the South End Neighborhood Association next week about this project. So that actually, I think most of our team is going to be there next week. For Ontario and West Streets, it's similar to the South End cluster. There's not much new news. They received positive feedback on their LIHTC application, but just because of how busy that application gets, preparing for next year's round. So that's that project. We will continue to support, while we wait. Flip the Block project. So that project, we're getting moving on the demolitions that need to be completed prior to the application. So the source of funding that we're using for Flip the Block is the block by block application from HCR. That all the parcels in that application need to be vacant. So basically, we need to get the demolitions done first before we can submit that final application. But we have already submitted the block by block application. They gave us some feedback, and part of it is we need to get the demolitions done first. So the demolitions, they are, we have the environmental review completed for those. And we also have, a couple weeks ago, we went before the Albany Planning Board and we have approval from the Planning Board to complete the demolitions. And then as noted here, we're working on revising that HCR application going forward. And we just added a slide here on some of the other revitalization projects that are going on right now, just because the board was looking for more detail on the development in progress. So we have 11 homes that are going to be receive some sort of rehab that are programmed with current ACLB funds or applications that are have been applied for. So there's 1 3-family property, 6 2-family, and 4 single-family properties. 3 have cleared SHPO, and we should be able to start on those somewhere in May to June. 352 First Street was one of those. So that, Natisha, that was the one that we toured with Joe a couple months ago. And actually, so these are a couple pictures of 352 First Street. It's moving along. If you remember, it was a lot of debris in there when we toured it. So one thing that we did just to kick this off was to get John Walker's crew to go through and clean out all of the properties that we have ready for rehab. So everything, I think it was at least 7 that he went through and cleaned out over the past couple weeks. So really, everything is moving along well. There's some properties in the historic districts that we need to prepare some documents before going to SHPO, just dealing with the preservation aspect of the project. But as I said, we should be able to get going on the 2-family renovations this summer. We have the 4 single-family properties. That's part of the home buyer development application. That's another program through Homes and Community Renewal. So we just submitted another edit of that last week. We've been in communication on edits for that project. So that one we're hoping to get approved soon, but we'll hear back as well. And then the last thing here is we're going to be starting to ramp up some of the some more RFPs for contractors to start these rehabs. One thing Lynette and I are doing is we're going to attend the New York State they're calling a projects pop-up series for MWBE contractors. That's next Monday at Washington Park Bathhouse. So we're going to be in attendance there just to meet with more contractors to get just more contractors on the list and ready to go. And we're trying to ramp this up so by the time we're ready to launch, we can just hit the ground running and get going.
And just to add something to this too, we're going to be operating as our own GC. So we will be overseeing the entire, all the scattered site projects, and which is why we want to get as many contractors as possible. That way when we're ready to go, we have them all lined up. So we're excited about this because this is going to be that first wave of activity that people will start seeing in the city.
Awesome, that's exciting. When you guys, if you don't mind sending a summary of that, just the full board via email, because I know one of our board members is particularly interested in that. It's not here tonight, so just want to make sure when he has time, he's apprised up to date on that.
And kind of our plan for the 2-family properties is to start in like a phase-based approach to, we don't have quite the amount of funds to do full rehab on all of them, but at least getting them to a substantial point of completion where a first-time home buyer can come in and they don't have to do the abatement work, they don't have to put a new roof on the property, stuff like that. Just so it's more attainable, for home buyers to come in. So that's kind of our plan with the 2-family properties, and those will be kicked off first. So we're excited to get going and have some activity and some properties that are available for sale.
And then just going back to the phase-based rehab model, that's something new that we're implementing. So the way it's going to work out is that We'll take a property, we do the clean out, and then at that point, we decide whether or not we want to move forward or we want to put it on the market. So if we want to move forward, then we would, deal with the roof, the foundation, again, assess the situation, see if it's worth putting on the market. So we would keep doing that incrementally. A good thing about that is that if we don't have the funds, we can use what we have at least so that the properties aren't sitting there falling apart. But also it will bring them up to a point where, a DIYer can come in and finish it because we've done the bulk of the work.
So do we have a full scope of work for these properties?
For some of them we do, but we're in the process of obtaining the others because that's part of the grant application process.
Yeah, we've done walkthroughs at all of them, so we have an idea of what, how close they are to being completed. And I think the next step is to get a sense of, is there any design changes that need to be made? So, do we need architectural services in that process? Some of them are pretty close to being ready to go, and they just need cosmetic repairs and everything. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, along with Sam's request, I think we should put something in there about the scope of work, because that was also part of the board members' request was for us to have some kind of outline of the scope of work for each of these projects. So even if it's not full, but like you said, you have an idea, so that would be great. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah, certainly do that. And yeah, 360 Sheridan.
So 360 Sheridan is the property that we're working in partnership with the Seat Center. So as you can see from some of the photos, we've actually, we've got things moving along now. So they're working on putting up the sheetrock. We have the plumbing inspection scheduled for this Thursday. So once that's complete, they can just finish closing everything off. We have power to the building. At this point, after the sheetrock is put up, and thanks to the nice weather that we have now, they can start mudding, taping, and getting that sealed up. So we're hoping to be done with this project by mid-May, or end of May, maybe beginning of June. But it's moving along really nicely. The students are really excited to finally have the opportunity to work on the project. So.
And you were able to get the siding on, I think?
Yep, so the siding's up, the window was put in, so it's completely weathertight. So now we're just, we're gonna request quotes for the rear deck. And then I'm waiting for quotes for the front porch to kind of close that out and polish it. So we're really excited about that. We are going to attend the home buyer fair on Saturday. So we're gonna bring some information about 360 Sheridan so we can get some first-time home buyers.
The table and the letter.
Yep, we're tabling at the library.
For the record, 6 board member Mark Bob Samples. Cool.
Thanks for joining us.
Anything else?
Good, something.
I don't think, no, you don't have to.
Next item on the agenda, committee reports, starting with the executive committee, that's tab 5. Is it fine? We don't need to accept those reports, right? No motion, just presentation, okay.
If there is any. There's a, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna discuss the legal services RFP towards the end of our meeting, as well as the demolition, so we'll be back for that.
Tab 6 is real estate executive committee, or real estate committee report, and tab 7, community engagement committee report. Anything for discussion there, or should we keep?
Well, we'll probably go into a little bit of 557 Pearl Street. We did select, the committee did approve a buyer for that property, so we're going to connect with them. We've already connected with them this week about moving forward. And then, let's see.
Community engagement committee did meet.
And then, I'm sorry, say that again.
No, I was telling him that the community engagement committee did meet.
Yes,
So-
in our first meeting.
Yeah.
last week.
So that should move.
Awesome.
No, I'm just
Oh,
correct.
okay. For the record, the community engagement.
Yeah, so for the community engagement committee, I'll just mention some of the highlights. We established and confirmed the land bank's outreach, communication, and engagement activities, are inclusive, accessible, and effective for all members of the community. And we take additional steps to reach individuals and communities disproportionately harmed by historic and ongoing public policies, private practices, and market dynamics that have contributed to disinvestment, discrimination, and distress. And then going to identify community members who would be well suited to join the committee based on mutual interest in land bank's mission, their personal and professional experience, and their connections within and across the communities we serve. So we're really looking forward to, working through this committee because again, we want to attract first-time home buyers, we want to attract contractors who we can work with. So we're excited to have your support.
And I will say from the committee, one of the things that we discussed is how we can get the land bank out in the community more. We understand that there's an education campaign that needs to be done, particularly in like the Arthur Hill, West Hill neighborhoods. So if you have any ideas on how we can do that, I just suggest that we connect Sean with some people who have a podcast in those communities, some of the community members from those communities, but there's other ways that you think we can get the land bank engaged in the community and in front of folks so that we can get the education campaign going. That would be great.
And I think there's just some cleanup, because I ran into some other people, and they were talking about the land bank, and none of the staff that they talked about is still here. So I was like, yeah, no, that guy's not here anymore. So they should really be, so I'm gonna try to connect them with Sean.
Almost like a reintroduction to
Right.
land bank, right?
Yeah. And again, that's still out there, and it's not really your current staff's fault, but it's just how things are. We just have to let people know.
Awesome. Next, I think we have a need for an executive session. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you describe the need for that?
So we want to enter into executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
So moved. We have a second. for that?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Jason.
Because we can stop the feed. Just for the record, we will return out of this executive session back into
Yes.
our board meeting, so there will be more to come.